Steve Lacy just released his second studio album, Gemini Rights, and I think this is actually a really good album. I think there is a lot of improvements coming from Apollo 21, where he does slim a lot of the songs down, and they are like more thought out ideas, and there definitely is some better production on this, just more multi-layered instrumentals and the layering of vocals on some of these tracks. And here I'm just going to go through these track by track. Static, I think, is a really good opening track. I think the layering of Steve's vocals and the piano on the background gives the track a very atmospheric vibe, and the production on the song, it sounds really good and it fits well as an intro to some of the rest of the tracks. So I think that's a really good song. Then we go to Helmet. The production on this one is more of like a funk type beat, or that at least is like some funk inspiration. And Steve's vocals also sound really well or they sound good on this one. And the pairing of all these instruments and his vocals, they all fit well together, and they kind of create a crescendo of instruments that just works beautifully together. Mercury is up next. I think the beat and the bossa nova sound of the song and Steve's vocals just work really well together to create a beautiful song where everything that Steve does on this song kind of, sounds good, and all the instruments create, really nice instrumental in my opinion. Then we go to Buttons, which I think the production on this song is a lot different from the last three because it's a lot slower, but I still think the layering of Steve's vocals on this track and the production is still good, and it definitely is a pretty good solid track. Then we go to Bad Habit, which I definitely think is the standout track of all these. It kind of takes the Steve Lacy demo, like super catchy choruses and all that, and then it takes the Mercury and those things to create a song that is not only produced well, it's a catchy song. It's just all in one of the best songs Steve has ever created. And I think it just all in works really well. And even the outro to the song, it just sounds really good. Just everything in this song, works well. Then we go to Together, which is the interlude. I like the vocals, and it kind of like when you're listening to it, it goes from like the bottom of your ear to the top, and it sounds weird, but it like moves from the bottom to the top of your ear when you're listening to it. But I think Together is kind of a change in the album. The first 5 songs, in my opinion, are a lot different from what Steve had done recently. I mean, they're not different, but the production is a lot better than what he did, and the layering of some of the instruments. But then you go to songs like Cody Freestyle, which the production is still pretty good, but it's a lot more like somber and not as upbeat as at least the first 5 songs are. And the lyrics are a little weird. He talks about like deep throating and stuff, and it's just like he's saying it. It's not like he's saying it as an innuendo. It's kind of just like he's like, yo, deep throat. And then it's just, I don't know, the vocals aren't as great, and it kind of just like lingers on a little too long. And then the end, it just kind of, I don't know. I just wish he could have cut some of the rest of these songs. Amber, I think the production sounds really good, but it just kind of doesn't really do anything for me. It's just kind of a boring little, it sounds like his song. It's like if someone took an AI bot and just was like, yo, create a Steve Lacy song. Like, that's what it is. It doesn't really do much, but it isn't a bad song, like, in my opinion. Then we go to Sunshine, which a lot of people are saying is, a really good song, which I wasn't the biggest fan of this. I thought the production was still solid. It sounds a lot like Apollo 21 stuff, but Fouché's, her vocals, like, she's kind of like mixed below the beat at some points. But I think when they get to her and the layering of her vocals on top of each other, it sounds really good and beautiful. But I feel like the song with its 4-minute, it's like a 4-minute runtime, it just is a little bit too long. Like, they literally could have cut off 50 seconds of this song, and I would have been like, wow, this is a lot better. But I still think it isn't a bad song. It's just a little bit more like Apollo 21-y, where it's a little bit dragged on too long with not that much subject matter. Then the last one is Give You the World, and I feel like this is kind of the same with the 3 songs above it. The production's solid, but it just doesn't really do much. And even on this one, Steve's vocals are kind of pretty average. And the song's like sound is it's kind of like if he took a 10-second snippet of himself and he just kind of copy and pasted it over the whole song. Like, it's not a bad song, but it just kind of doesn't change. Like, the sound doesn't change the whole thing. His voice is the same. The beat is the same. And it really kind of ends it on a sourer note, because I think that's definitely the worst song on the entire album. I still think this is a solid album, and I definitely am going to give it a 7 out of 10. I just wish he could have stuck to what the first 5 songs did, because I think if he did that for the whole album, I think this could have been the album of the year. But I still think this is a really good album. I still love what Steve has done with a lot of these songs. So I'm going to give this one a 7 out of 10 because it's pretty good.